Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
We have a gentleman on the line, our next guest, who has the longest title in sport. The Geelong Cricket Club Regional Development and Women's Expertise Elite Development Coach and Coordinator, Stephen Field. Good morning.
Good morning, Rob and Neil.
I'm going to chuck a few extra words.
That's all we've got time for. Sorry, thanks very much.
A few extra words each time we chat, Steve. We had you in the studio some time ago when we were just about to announce. I do remember the morning because we did already know that the Geelong Cricket Club had been elevated into Cricket Victoria's women's program, but we weren't allowed to say anything, so we were biting our lips that morning. But a lot obviously has been done since then in your new role, and you've got a good contact with women's cricket through Western Victoria. You're based down at Dunkeld. How have things been in the lead up to the summer sport?
Yeah, look, it's been a very, very exciting time. Can I just go back a sec there, Rob? I must say I would love a copy of your playlist. It's been brilliant this morning. I'm not sure I want to see the video of the studio activity.
No, the playlist has been good.
We'll see what we can do for you, Steve.
No, look, it's been outstanding. We've obviously got our full contingent of coaches now, led with Dan McDonald, our head coach, and we've just recently announced Jake Brown as our assistant coach, which is very exciting, an ex-Geelong cricketer, of course, and with our regional coaches situated right throughout the three regions, I suppose, that we cover with Barwon, Western Waves and Central Highlands, now all working with their associations, and our pre-season program well underway. It's a very, very exciting time.
What sort of brief were you given to start your role off, and has it developed as time's gone on and into what you are actually doing? And that's not a derogatory comment, that's just that it's such a new thing. I guess it's a bit of make it up as you go along? Well,
to a point, I suppose one of the things, and the main conversations were with Sarah Pike, who obviously you know well and has been a true leader, and I think one day when the story is told, girls within the region will be very, very grateful for all her work in getting this program set up for a start and basically the incursion into Premier Cricket. But essentially it was some assistance with the Geelong Cricket Club in the process of being involved in Premier Cricket and what that would take, and then to the point where, well, what do we need to make sure that Premier Cricket is not only available as a pathway for all our girls within the Barwon region, but also the associated Western districts, but making sure that girls can do all the things that the metropolitan girls can do at the tip of their fingers. And some of those things are quite difficult, of course. We know travel, finances involved in it, and there's just so much time involved for parents and players travelling from a lot of the smaller country regions. And, of course, what that results in often is burnout at Premier level. So Sarah talked about how would we set up this program, and I talked about all the things that I think should take place, and basically it was a case, well, if you want to do these things, well, then you better join. And, so I guess the other thing that I did have in my previous role at Cricket Victoria was I'd spent a couple of years with a lot of the Barwon girls who now make up a fair contingent of our Geelong Cricket Club players, and those girls are such great talents, and that was an opportunity to see that through, I suppose, as well, and hopefully get them on the pathway to bigger and better things.
I'm picturing the role of an AFL recruiter wandering in, sitting down at the kitchen table, having a cup of coffee with mum, dad and prospective recruit. Is there a bit of that going on to try and help make that decision as to whether all this time and effort is going to have a reward?
Definitely building the relationships with the players and the parents is key, and I suppose I've been in the fortunate position of virtually all the playing lists that we've put together are players that I have known in a previous role or have known about anyway, and know their parents, which it's part of that, but not really, because I think once the program was placed out there for people to see and what it involves, and one of the things we do have is our players who are based in the Western area, for instance, they train with me in Hamilton on a Tuesday night. So rather than having to travel to Geelong to train with the Geelong players in their pre-season, and they come down once a month in the pre-season for an all-group session, and that will take place right through the season. So we're really reducing that travel component for those players and their parents, and they're very grateful for that. But I think knowing the players and parents has helped, and once they've seen what the Geelong Cricket Club is offering, and it's a pretty amazing program. It really is an Australian leading program, and certainly the only one of its kind in Victoria. Basically, all the players and parents have been very keen to be involved.
Stephen, one of the things that I'm fascinated by sitting, on the sidelines watching is, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whenever it was, we were hearing about, the AFLW being set up and, an elite level of sport for women in a sport that had traditionally been men's. Women's cricket's been around forever. What has changed in the last 10 years to make, women's cricket, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, an acceptable pursuit for girls? I mean, you know what I mean? Is that sensible?
Certainly. Well, personally, I've always believed that cricket is a game far better suited to women and girls. Often they have better perspective on things. Sometimes men can get a little bit singular in their ambitions, and whereas I believe that cricket and the nature of the game being so harsh and so cruel at different times, you must engage in the social interaction and team play and those sort of things to survive. And I think girls and women probably do that a bit better than us. But having been involved, particularly with girls and women for a long period of time now in building competitions and also coaching here and overseas and so forth, I think there's been an appetite for a long time, and it's really been a case of the male community clubs, if you like, taking a little bit of initiative and helping develop teams and seeing that the purpose of these teams, building clubs that are much more appealing for people to be at and families to be at. And once that started rolling, the juggernaut just keeps on rolling.
Stephen, you got some really big success stories in the men's program at the Geelong Cricket Club of players who've taken the step from Western Victoria and have gone on, I suppose, Brody Couch and Tommy Jackson being the two most prominent that are currently in the Victorian Pathway Program development squads at Cricket Victoria. Do they, or have you got access to use them to assist in maybe having those conversations about what the future might look like for some of these girls?
Absolutely, that's a great question, Rob, and it's certainly the case. We've put together, I suppose, if you like, it's a group of specialist coaches that will be available to our girls at different stages, and that includes people who are just working in the industry, so in Deakin University with strength conditioning and nutrition and so forth, but certainly in terms of player advice around future pathways and also some of the things that can pop up in the road, I suppose. We've got, for instance, just one of our local Geelong players, another boy that I had involvement with as a junior in Gus Boyd. He's obviously a terrific leader. He's someone who will be working with our girls at different times. We've got Jamie Fennick, who's involved as a coach and talent specialist up in Queensland. We do actually have some assistance from a couple of ex-Victorian players in Emma Ingles and Sarah Elliott. And Sarah Elliott's actually an Australian centurion at one stage, who will also provide us with some assistance at various stages around wellness and match management and things like that. So the girls are going to have plenty of opportunity to tap into those brains.
Do you know what the quality of cricket will be like in Division 2 and 3 of Cricket Victoria's program? Have you witnessed it firsthand or got contacts to know what the girls are going to be up against?
Yeah, so I certainly do. My daughter's actually been playing Premier 1s for the last few years with EMP, and so I've seen the players sort of coming and going through that squad, and they've been a strong club, obviously, and a number of the girls that have been involved in not only Barwon but also Western Wales and Central Highlands, who are playing with other clubs or are now potentially playing with us, who played seconds and thirds, so you get a bit of an idea of the standard. Our ambition, of course, is to prepare our girls to be Premier 1s cricketers, because that's the next step. So all our training and programs are around that. But certainly the standard will be strong. You have in the second division, you have a number of players who are maybe at the end of their career, who have skills and are developing the younger players within their groups, some who've played very good Premier First cricket, and really talented young players, many of who are emerging Victorian player squads and things like that. So I'm sure our girls will compete very favourably, though, in both divisions.
And more importantly, in your role, I guess your job is to get them into Division 1. Is that a 2 to 3 year plan, or is it 3 to 5? What's a realistic expectation of that?
I'd like to think it's a 1 year plan. Rob, it might sound ambitious, but this whole program has been ambitious, and we've certainly jumped ahead of a lot of the things that people probably thought were hurdles that couldn't be overcome already. The standards and talent of our younger brigade is outstanding. We're probably, at this point, lacking a little in the experienced players who've actually played a lot of Premier One's cricket. But in terms of raw talent, and now it's our job to make sure that we equip them with the right game skills and so forth, we've certainly got the players and the sustainability of players going through at a younger age to fit that mark. But I think probably realistically, to be a competitive Premier One's team, I'd say 2 to 3 years.
Stephen Field, thank you very much for your time this morning. We'll be in contact with you regularly through the summer, I hope, and look forward to you being able to come into the studio and sit down and chew the fat again if you're in town and COVID allows. Just announced too that the regional Victoria is in lockdown again as of 1 o'clock this afternoon. News have come through. That needs to be absolutely confirmed, but just be aware of that. So that might change your day. Thanks very much for your time, mate. Hope to see you soon.
Pleasure, Rob. Neil, thank you. Have a great weekend.